Open Line with Tammy Heidi.
This is Open Line. My name's Tammy Heidi, and my guest is Kim Seal of Grades of Green. She's the CEO, and Grades of Green is a nonprofit started by 4 Southern California mothers in 2010. So thank you for making some time for Open Line, Kim.
Oh my gosh, Tammy, thank you so much for having us. I'd love to talk about Grades of Green, and we so appreciate you calling and letting us chat.
Okay, well, let's talk about what Grades of Green does and who they are and how this all came about.
Yeah, Grades of Green is a nonprofit. We're focused on environmental education, and really it started by, like you said, these 4 moms a little over 11 years ago now. Time flies.
I know.
And they really were concerned about really their students' education about the environment, but more importantly, they kept getting all of this stuff sent home from school, those packets with all this paper that's wasted, and they realized the school itself was not being environmental, and they definitely weren't educating their kids on the environment. So, they got together and they got to the school, and the principal was very open to them working with students of all ages on projects so that they could actually learn by doing. So our programs are all project-based. They are not a typical education where, you have classrooms that you sit and just listen to someone drone on. Every single one of them, they're student-led, and they get their hands dirty. So
instead of slideshows, you're playing in the dirt and stuff like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
They play in the dirt depending on what their project is. Some kids get to plant gardens. Some kids get to, work on cars idling out in front of schools. There's so many different ways that these kids can learn about the environment.
Wait, do the kids yell at the cars idling and say, "Get off my lawn," or how does that work? What is that project?
Well, yeah, that's actually a really cool project. In fact, it's called the No Idle Zone Project. And actually, it's a great story because we had a student, Antonio, and he was in Long Beach, and this was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. And he's like, I can't believe that all these mothers, mainly mothers, drive up, and while we're waiting to get picked up, they leave these cars idling. And so we said, well, let's work on that. What do you want to do? And what we do is develop a project with each student or each school. We don't tell them what to do. They tell us what they're passionate about. And he put this whole program together with us on No Idle Zone. And lo and behold, Assemblyman Hadley heard about this in the California Assembly and was like, this is awesome. So he fronted a bill for the Assembly to basically prevent, you're not allowed to idle in front of schools. And so he was pushing this bill through, and Antonio worked with him this whole time, and he actually got to go to the state capitol and watch this bill get voted on and put into place. So to me, that's one of our favorite. We have lots of cool stories, but I thought, doing.
Yeah, I love the cool stories because that's kind of how this all started happening. Of course, like you said, it was moms, and primarily it is moms that are part of Grades of Green because moms do everything.
I know. I've got twins.
Okay, so so I mean, it's something, and like the example you just gave of the No Idle Zone, that's something that is easily addressed, but it's not something that people necessarily think of. It's not top of mind.
Exactly.
So I guess that's, a good example of, there are things that people can do, and it's good to start with kids because they're our future, basically.
That is, and the real goal for the moms when they started out, and the original mission is to really just inspire and empower kids to care for the environment. They were trying to get them to just love Mother Earth so much that they would continue through their lives to always think about what their actions were and how it was affecting the environment. But through the years, we've had these students that have been with us, and our programs have grown. So we provide this pathway of programs for any age student. Teachers can also work with their students in classrooms on these projects. High school kids, they're student-led, and they're extraordinary projects like the one I just talked about. And then we have a leadership program. So really, beneath all this, our real goal is to develop the next generation of environmental leaders. Because you just said that. These kids, if we start them now, when they grow up, they will be leading not just, the country, but potentially every type of business. So we want them to just embrace embrace the environment in every decision they make. And no matter, what they do, they could be in fashion, they could be in film, they could be an engineer, but they will lead with the environment in mind and make decisions that are good for the environment. So it's such a cool concept, and it's coming to fruition because a lot of our students are now in college and they're working in the environmental space, or they're environmental engineers. So it's very fulfilling.
Oh, that's awesome. We're talking with Kim Seal. She's the CEO of Grades of Green. They inspire and empower kids and the school community at large to care about the environment. So basically, just to be mindful and to also connect, how does what I do right now at my school, wherever, how does that impact, globally, the environment? And it's kind of part of the think globally, act locally. Boots on the ground and actually do things that affect positive change.
Absolutely. And we are a global organization. We have students in all different countries. We had multiple in Africa this last year, India. We've worked with students in Italy. And what's really interesting is when we pair these students in Africa with a team in the United States, and they're working on maybe water, like they've chosen water as that's what they're passionate about. But then they learn, like in Africa, their problem is they don't have water. And our problem was the water wasn't clean. And so these kids from both, they learn like, oh my goodness. First of all, we both are so concerned about water, but our needs in our local communities are so different. So they help each other find solutions in their local communities. In fact, one team in Michigan actually raised some money through their project so that a student team could actually build a well in a very small village that had never had one. So
wow.
This connection, but the kids in Michigan would have never known, right? Like, how do you know that unless you actually are able to? So, yes, the local is so important to us, but the effects globally, we really just hope that's what's going to change the world.
Excellent. All right, so you've got your annual Verte celebration coming up on October 9th, and you're honoring Kathy Kellogg Johnson. She's getting the inaugural Mother Earth Award. She co-owns Kellogg Gardens locally here in Southern California, right?
That's absolutely true. Her grandfather actually started it, which is such a cool story, and he was really a pioneer in organic gardening. So that's what makes their products so amazing, is their soils and everything they do is organic based. So when we were thinking about, honoring someone, we really went and we thought, what is so meaningful? And it is the mothers that are inspiring their students or their kids. Time and time again, our students, we always, ask them about their stories, and they always come back to a teacher or their mom that's instilled in this love of the environment. So we decided to start presenting annual Mother Earth Awards, and our inaugural honoree is Kathy Kellogg because she just embodies being a mother. Her kids are fantastic. In fact, one just went to school to be an engineer, an environmental engineer. But she runs this business, which, first of all, she's a woman, and we love that, running a business, but it is so organically focused. And her focus is also, how do I help build the next generation of environmental gardeners? It's so great. So we work so in sync with each other. So we're very excited to honor her, and she's terrific. I can't say enough. We are also honoring James Hartsburg. He's the COO of LA Car Guy, which is down here, and he is an environmental business leader. Not only have they supported Grades of Green, but he's personally and professionally passionate about the environment. And they've led our leadership summits. We are the Subaru Share the Love hometown partner. They have been incredibly generous in that way, but they've also worked with our students on projects. So we've had a sculpture of a plastic wave at one of their facilities. Another student, they collected old clothes and they made them into dog toys, and then they donated them to the other charity at a Subaru. So it's just a cool story. The both of them together, I think, will be, amazingly impactful at this event, which we're super excited to finally have after a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly, because everybody got the COVID monkey wrench thrown in to, the best laid plans and so forth. So is this a public celebration, or is it a fundraiser, or is it what?
It is. It's our annual fundraiser. Well, it wasn't annual. It was annual, but now it took a couple of years.
Let's just say, let's just forget about that. Put those aside. And
let's pretend that didn't happen. The thing that's really critical about this is we do not charge any student, any parent, any school, any district anything for our programs. We provide the mentorship, we provide the resources, we provide everything for these students because it allows us to work with those kids in the areas that most need us but couldn't afford, right, this type of thing. So in order to survive, right, we have to raise money, as you can imagine. So we have very generous supporters and grantors, but a third of our budget really comes from this really fun, inspiring gala. Our students are there talking about what they're doing. We have some great music, and it's a sit-down dinner. We honor, of course, our honorees and also our students. So, yeah, it's very important to us. Luckily, we've had very generous both donors and companies come to, our behalf when we had to cancel this. So we were one of the lucky nonprofits to be able to not just survive, we ended up really thriving and growing our programs through this. So, we're so grateful that we were one of the lucky ones that were able to do that.
Well, maybe the pandemic, maybe a silver lining was also that parents and their students, a lot of them were home. They were homeschooling. And in general, people were home more and they started gardening and, cooking and baking and doing kind of all those home ec things. And when you think about it, it is Mother Earth.
Yeah.
And this is our little blue marble that we're supposed to be good custodians of. And I know that one of the honorees, Kathy Kellogg Johnson, has echoed that and said how many healing properties there are in soil and that we are, custodians. We're stewards of this planet. And so the more we can understand it and get involved on a basic level, then I think the better, we all and the planet will be.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kathy's so great when she talks to the kids about, what's the difference between soil and dirt? And they're like, well, and she said, and it's so fascinating. She's like, well, soil is alive, all right? There's a lot, it's not. Dirt, it has nothing alive in it. It doesn't have the nutrients. It doesn't have what, our plants need and what, even animals need to feed off the things that grow. So it's such an interesting concept. And when you think about it, it goes full circle. It all starts in the ground. It has to be nourished. It has to be cared for. You want it to be clean because eventually it's going to all come up and we're going to either eat it or use it to make things. So yeah, it's a very interesting concept. I really like that analogy of soil being live where dirt is not.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I've never heard that exact explanation, but it makes total sense. When I think of soil as opposed to dirt, when I think of soil, I think of like that chocolate cake mix kind of, it's so rich. I seriously, I do. I love, Kim, to actually play in the dirt. I usually, throw the gardening gloves aside unless I'm working on something thorny and just get right down with, the tools that I was given, my hands. So.
Oh, you have to come dig with our students. We just were out at Kelso Elementary in Inglewood, and Kathy donated some soil, and they had these garden beds. So obviously, they was all dead, right? Because they hadn't been there for a year. Oh my gosh, we had so much fun. We got to dig in the soil. The kids came out. They got to dig all through the soil. They got to play with the worms and the ladybugs, and then plant. And it was a blast. So you'll have to do that with us sometime.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. Well, how can people get involved with Grades of Green and find out more information?
Yeah, we have our website is www.gradesofgreen.org, and there's multiple ways you can get involved. Obviously, you can donate, that's one, but more importantly, you can review our site, and if you know of a student or a teacher or have students that, might benefit from this or just you want them to learn about the environment, we would love for them to join our programs. Like I said, they're free. All you do is sign up, and we work with each of these students or schools. So that is a great way to get involved, if you're not able to donate or if it's not in your portfolio. So those are two really great ways. And because we have instituted now teacher stipends so that, teachers, we feel for them. They work so hard. We want them all to focus on the environment, but that's just one more curriculum they have to learn. So we've developed a stipend program. So when they work with their students on projects, we provide them a small stipend. And that's all. You can help with that too. If you know a teacher that wants to get involved, let us know. And actually the gala, which is open to the public, it'll probably be sold sold out, in the next couple of weeks, but it's really fun. There's a band at the end. The food is fabulous. Every time, every guest, when they leave, say their favorite part was talking to the students. So we find it just fascinating that, we say when students talk, adults listen, and
Yeah.
they do. Yeah, they do. Yeah, and so that's really fun. You get to meet the students and see their projects. Yeah, it's a really good time. So that's also on our website.
Well, thank you so much for making some time for Open Line. Our guest has been Kim Seal, the CEO of Grades of Green, and you can find out more about that. Gradesofgreen.org is the website, and the annual Verte celebration coming up October 9th. So thank you so much as we get ready for fall. Thank you so much for being part of Open Line and getting kids interested and involved and taking care of the environment.
And thank you, Tammy. And we're going to get you out there, get your hands dirty with our students.
Okay. I will take the challenge. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You're listening to Open Line.